Hey everyone, this is part of me trying to incorporate my face more in my art videos, so hi. So today I wanted to base my video on what to do when you don't know what to draw, and it's specifically focusing on one solution, which is to use this specific app in order to come up with different drawing ideas. This video is not sponsored. I'm just excited to use the app for the first time to actually create some artwork and thought I would share it with you guys because I think it's really clever and is really helpful to us artists. So the app I'm going to be using today is Jazza's Arty Games, and it was made by Jazza, who is an artist here on YouTube. I've been meaning to use this app for a while now, but I haven't recorded a ton of videos recently because I was gone on vacation, so everything was pre-filmed. So finally getting a chance to use this. Dance party! So I have my profile set up here, Bailey Jane. You can have multiple profiles, and there's a little thing in the corner that says dance party, so I'm gonna click it. I love the music. And back to normal. Anyway, I'm gonna go to play single game. I'm not gonna do a full-on app review. I'm just showing you what I'm using so you know what the heck it is. So just a little bit of an explanation though. At the top you have different time settings. So I'm going to go with infinite time just because I don't want any time constraint on this, but you can set yourself a 2-minute limit, 5, 10, or 20-minute limit on your challenge. And there's all kinds of drawing challenges here, like a scribble challenge. So it'll give you a scribble and you have to draw something from that scribble. And a lot of the challenges have settings too, like you can change the number of scribbles, 1, 2, or 3 scribbles. You can do a color challenge. I haven't input what colors I have yet, so I can't do that challenge. But so let's say I want to do a 3-marker challenge with my Copics. I can input all the Copic colors I have and it'll save it to my profile, and then I can just make it pick 3 colors. You can choose from 1 to 5 colors for the color challenge. I'm just going to turn the music down so I'm not trying to talk over it for the rest of this. Another one of the challenges is the copy challenge. So you click on that and it will give you a photo for you to copy or to use as reference in any way that you want. So there's an image and then you can switch between different images. So there's a huge variety here. There's people, animals, buildings, all kinds of stuff. So that's pretty neat. What I'm going to be doing today is the character challenge. So I'm going to click on that and it's going to give me 3 different specifications, I guess, for the picture. It's kind of randomly generated. There's 3 pieces to it and each one is random. So here's our 3 stipulations. A spirit warrior who is extremely dizzy capturing a deadly creature. So that's the kind of thing that you get. I think it's pretty cool. So all of those are really fun, and I'll probably end up using some of these in future videos too, especially the color challenge. I'll be using that definitely in a future 3-marker challenge, and I think I'll also do a scribble challenge, but today we're doing the character challenge. Okay, we're gonna start the character challenge, and I have to do the first one that pops up. I'm not allowed to switch to the second suggestion. I have to do the very first one that comes up. So let's go. What are we gonna get? A jester that is wearing flowers who has a demonic arm. Oh my god, that's a good one. So this is what I'll be drawing today.
The next day.
So fast forward a day. I worked on the jester piece, but I decided I want to completely redo it. So I'll show you what I've done so far. So this was my first sketch, first in orange and then cleaned up in graphite, and that was my picture. These are wilted flowers, by the way. So that was my drawing, and I took it to completion. I completely finished it. Here's what it looks like. I really like the coloring, but I feel like the concept itself, I don't know, I feel like I could have done better with the pose and that kind of thing, and the face, just a lot of stuff. I don't know, I feel like I shouldn't have even colored it in the first place. I should have stopped and restarted, right? But anyway, this was my idea. He has an extra elbow, by the way. That's not like a weird thing. It's meant to be like a demon hand, so it's not following human anatomy, that kind of thing. So I wanted like extra joints. Anyway, that's what I came up with, but now I'm going to redo it. So here's some thumbnailing I've been doing just to kind of plan out the new piece. So I thought instead of having the arm be one of his arms, it can be coming out of his back, sort of like this growth that's coming off of him, and it's much bigger here than it is here. He's hunched over on all fours, and he's going to look really crazy. And then my boyfriend got the idea that he actually has a mask, like a Harlequin mask, or just some kind of mask like that. So I was kind of sketching out the face, and I'm thinking of not doing a full mask, but maybe just over the eyes mask and something like that. I'm not really sure. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do for the second pose. I feel like it's much more interesting. This one's just very static and kind of boring. Although I do like the coloring, it's just not really good enough. So I'm going to scan this and print out the thumbnail larger and then refine it into a finished sketch and then ink and color. Even though this sketch is definitely better and more interesting than the first, I still like how the first one I did was very colorful because the character filled up more of the page, and I did that checkered background. I think, it has its own charm to it, and like I mentioned before, I like the coloring job on it, but I feel like this pose is just much more interesting. You get to see the character full body, which is nice when the whole point of the drawing is to design a character. And because of that, I did decide to leave the background white to focus on the character and have him pop off the page. I did go in Photoshop and plan out my color schemes on the picture, and I played around with some background ideas, and I just didn't like any of them. I just thought, you know what, I think it looks better just plain background, and that's kind of the whole point of the character challenge, is to draw a character. So that is what I did. Here I'm just tracing over with graphite to refine the lines. It's a little bit difficult to see because the light is reflecting off the graphite, but just sketching over the thumbnail to make sure I have it drawn the way I want it. And then once I was satisfied with it, I inked it, which I rarely do on camera just because my hand covers so much when I'm inking, and I prefer to ink off camera anyway. So those are what the inks look like, and so now it's ready to color. So I'm coloring with my Copics, and like I mentioned, I planned out the colors in Photoshop. And I did add a few more colors into this one compared to the original. I decided I wanted to stick to the idea of having soft yellow light, but with this one I actually planned that in advance and laid that down first, because with the other picture it was kind of an afterthought, and then I was trying to add back in the yellow later. In some areas the yellow just did not want to take, so this time I mapped out some yellow spots first and went in and started coloring. So for the black areas, I never actually used black. The darkest color I used was warm gray number 9. And for the black areas, I used all warm grays. And then for the red areas, I used my R46 and my R89. And then for the shadows, I actually used a brown. Usually when I'm shading red, purple's a good choice, but I didn't want any purple in this picture, so I went with the brown to really deepen it, because I feel like even my darkest reds aren't that dark, so the brown was E18. And a little bit more about the character concept, because it's a little different from the first one. I kept the wilted flowers, so on his neck/chest piece, there are wilted flowers dangling from it and from the ends of his hat. And so I just thought wilted, because it's a pretty evil picture, it makes sense for them to be wilted. And sticking with the evil theme, I wanted the horns of his hat to be very angular instead of round. And then, as I mentioned previously, making his face like a mask instead of his actual face. So I did the really pointy smile with the sharp teeth, super angry looking, well, more not really angry, but evil looking eyebrows that are really raised. Oh, little Kiki, my little assistant. And I decided to go with a diamond pattern over the eyes. And here's where I was incorporating some other colors different from the first piece. I decided, why not add in some muted green and actually use the muted yellow throughout as well, because I have a goldy color that I use for the wilted flowers and the hand, but I decided to incorporate more of that pale yellow light on the other flowers and on his teeth, and then green on the eyes and on his boots and the cuffs of his shirt. So I feel like that was a good way to make it a little more interesting. I was a little scared adding in another color because I liked my red and black color scheme, but planning it out in Photoshop really helped me decide to go for it. And you don't need to do that in Photoshop. Sometimes I just quickly sketch up little miniature versions of the drawing, or I'll scan it and print it off multiple times and play around with colors that way. But I just figured Photoshop would be quicker, and that would also make it easier to play around with the backgrounds. So yeah, I decided to add flowers around the base of the hand because I felt like my original design didn't really have enough flowers to it. Because when it says he's wearing flowers, you could go extreme and have giant flowers that make up the outfit. But I decided I really wanted to emphasize the gesturiness of it, and the demonic arm. So that's why the flowers aren't as prominently featured. But I thought it'd be neat to have them at the base of the hand and a couple on the hand as well. It's almost like the hand is this almost plant-like organism, but it's not, because I did veins on it, so it could be sort of like a living creature's veins, or it could be kind of like roots and knots and branches of a plant, of a tree or something like that. So I kind of liked how it could be two things at once. And then of course there's that big evil eye in the hand. So yeah, that is my finished picture. I hope you like it. I thought it was kind of fun to show you both of them and two different ways to tackle this piece. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Like, I'm trying to find pictures of what I want. I want like, here's was the first picture I found. I want something like this, but with an adult. So the closest thing I found is this. I can just kind of flip the image, and it's not really accurate reference because